Today we are going to write equations of perpendicular lines. So we have this equation here, and we want a line that is perpendicular to it that passes through this specific point. So I'm going to first graph this, and you don't have to graph today, but this is just to help you make sense of what is happening. So our y-intercept is at +1, and our slope is 2. So I'm going to go up 2 over 1. I'm going to also put a point here because if we went up 2 over 1, we'd get to that y-intercept. All right, so perpendicular lines cross at a 90-degree angle. Okay, so this slope, I'm also going to put a 1 here. For perpendicular line, we would use the reciprocal, which is 1/2, but then we also have to change the sign, so it would be negative. So if I use that same y-intercept, for example, and I went down 1 over 2, those two lines would be perpendicular and they would make a 90-degree angle or a perfect corner. Okay, so for my new line, I have to use this slope. Okay, so I'm going to write y equals -1/2 x plus b. We have to figure out our new y-intercept. Okay, so they don't always cross at or along the y-axis. Okay, so let's say x is 5. So I'm going to do -1/2 times 5. And then, oh man, I messed up on that. Hold on. Let's see, undo. Okay, x is 2, silly me. So that's 2. All right, and then y is the 5. All right, so if we do -1/2 times 2, that would be -2/2, which is the same as -1. I'm going to write this all over here. So we have 5 equals -1 plus b. And then to get rid of that -1, we'll add 1 to both sides. So 6 is the value of b. Okay, so our equation, totally running out of space here, is y equals -1/2 x plus 6. All right, and to kind of explain why the y-intercept is not at 1, let me try to swap some colors here. All right, so the perpendicular line, like the example I did, was this one here. Yikes, that line is super thick. But it could be here, whoops, here, or here, or here, or here. So it's just going to be the one of these further ones over here. So there's lots of different places where we could put that perpendicular line. Okay. Great, here's our next example. All right, so we want an equation that is perpendicular to this given line going through this point. So I'm going to change my slope. I'm going to use the reciprocal, which would be 3 over 1. And since it's currently positive, I'm going to make it negative. Keep my x, and then I'm going to write plus b because we're going to have a different y-intercept. Then I'm going to replace the x and the y with 1 and -2. So y is -2. I'll keep my new slope, and oops, instead of x, I'm going to write times 1 and plus b. All right, so -3 times 1 is -3. And anything divided by 1 is itself. All right, so -2 equals -3 plus b. So we then would have to add 3 to both sides. A little bit squished there. So we'd have our -2 plus 3. That would be +1. So +1 is the value of b. So I'm going to rewrite this. Y equals -3. I don't really need it to be over 1. And then x plus 1. All right, this one is number 4 from your assignment. All right, so I'm going to rewrite this equation, and I'm going to change the slope so that it's a perpendicular slope. So it's currently negative, so the new slope is going to be positive. This is really the same as 2 over 1, so if I change it to the reciprocal, it would be 1 over 2. I might keep my x, and then I have a b. Was that a b or was that a 6? I think I just forgot it. That would have been a 5 right here originally. Okay, so then we're going to replace x and y with our coordinates. So y is -2. Keep our 1/2. X is -4, and then plus b. So on top we have 1 times -4, which is -4. On bottom we still have the 2. So -4 divided by 2 is -2. All right, so I could add 2 to both sides, which is 0. Or I might also notice that -2 is equal to -2, so that means I'd have nothing extra. So b is 0. All right, so my equation is y equals 1/2 x. And I don't really need to have plus 0 because 0 is the same as nothing. So I can leave this equation just like this. All right, this one is number 6. All right, so our original equation is y equals x. So this is the same as y equals 1 over 1x. So if I were to flip it, it's still going to be 1 over 1, but now it's going to be negative. Okay, and I also really don't need that denominator of 1, so I'm going to actually just back this up, and I'm going to say it is negative 1x for now, but when we have the final equation, we really don't need that 1 either. All right, and plus b. All right, y is positive 1, and then x is -5. Keep the b. So -1 times -5 is positive 5. And then to get rid of that, we're going to minus 5 from both sides. So -4 is the value of b. So I'm going to rewrite this. So y equals -x. That's the simplest way to write it with the fewest number of computer clicks. And then minus 4.